Percy Jackson Season 2 has come and gone. Very good adaptation of a book with many changes that happen along the way. So we're going to be breaking down how things have changed as well as what I think about the series. So let's get into it. Now, following off of Season 1, there was a lot of up and downs with that season as well. It went into adapting the book significantly more faithful compared to the movie adaptation that people well know. I grew up on, I'm familiar with, that's how I always thought about it. I was one who's seen the movie first before reading the books themselves. So I always thought that was a good adaptation. Without any knowledge of the books themselves, that movie was okay. It was not the worst thing in the world, but once you learn the source material and see how much they've changed from the book to that movie, it's almost blasphemic. They've done so much to butcher so many characters, deleted so many people, added things that didn't need to be added. It was a travesty. And I forever look back on that movie thinking, my God, what have they done? What were they thinking? Absolute mess. And then the second movie comes around. And this is before I actually read the books. And I watched that second movie, and it was a movie where even without any knowledge of what happens in the books at all, that was a god-awful movie. Everything was stale. Everything was poor. It was a miserable mess. So once they actually canceled the movies franchise, I was a little bummed, because at the end of the day, I felt I had a good memory from the first movie, and I was hoping that there would be more to be done. Then I saw that second movie, and I was deeply disappointed, and then I understood why it got canceled. Once I heard that the series was being remade for a TV series, I was like, that was the real house it deserves to be in, because I, by that point, read the books, and it felt like it should be more of a TV series. So them doing that made me smile. I felt like there was a good chance it will do well. I watched the first season, and just to sum up how I felt about it, it was a good series. It did its job. It made sure the characters felt right. It made sure it kept the tone proper. It made sure that it followed the majority of the book in its storytelling, and just tweaked a few things here and there that made the series unique-ish to a point where it's not exactly one-to-one with the book, but it didn't do too much to stray away from the source material. So it was a great adaptation. The pacing was a little weird. It felt very difficult for them to try to build suspense throughout the series. So it kind of got a little unimpactful when anything big happened, because the suspense wasn't there for me. But overall, for a season, it was very good. The fight with Ares at the end, spectacular, strong stuff, and I thought it finished off well. So I was very excited when Season 2 came out. So what I did was reread the second book in the time prior to watching the second season, and like I mentioned, they made a bunch of changes, a lot of different small things they tweaked, relocated different people to different places, but it followed the core of the narrative in the book itself. It did change a lot more than what I thought Season 1 changed, so I was actually a little shocked on that part, but it managed to keep the core messaging, the core thoughts, and the core beats intact. So I did enjoy that it wasn't too far away from the second book. I desperately enjoyed the fact that it wasn't like the second movie, which was a travesty. So for the most part, in the second season, it gave you more of a surrounding effect. It didn't. The book obviously is guided by Percy and what he thought. He's narrating. He's the one that you're following throughout. This one gives you more opinions or more thoughts. You see more of Luke's perspective, more of Clarice's perspective. So you see more outside of just what Percy is thinking or what he sees. So that gave it more depth in terms of building characters, their personalities, and making sure it's fleshed out a little bit more than it was in the book. Biggest example is Clarice. She was there throughout the whole second book, a good amount. She was gone in chunks there presently. She was clearly the B character to the trio. However, she was not explored too deeply in the book. She was more or less seen, and then obviously what Percy perceived. For example, her conversation with her father. In the show, they let you see it. They show you the interaction. They show you from her point of view what she's going through, how she's handling things. And that gave her more of a personality, more of a being. Now, obviously, later in the books, there's more to her, and you can piece it better together then. But in the second book, you just have her as a one-note character of, I want to chase the glory, I don't like you, let me get my job done. And that's it. This one, you get more of a feel of what she's dealing with and how she feels. And that's cool. Same thing with Luke. He was always just like that mustache twirling bad guy. Now you just see more of his conflict, more of his strife, and how he has his stance and how he's willing to defend his beliefs to proceed with what he's doing with Crumbs. Some of the changes that I didn't like is like some of the omissions. I mean, I understand it was things that weren't really too impactful to the overall storyline, but I felt like they were useful for entertainment purpose throughout the book itself. So I thought it would be a nice little thing in the TV series as well. Now, I know the Monsters Donut portion of the book was a little weird, a little out of place. I just appreciate that complex battle they had with the Hydra itself. That being completely omitted from it, felt like that section was a little weaker than it should have been. They basically deleted that, skipped to Clarice coming there, and they just had a confrontation with Clarice. Which, cool. Streamline it, you only got 8 episodes. I understand. But I would have liked more grandioso drama and more intense situations, like having something like a Hydra show up, which is not something you get often in this series so far. And may that be budget concerns or whatever the case. It's just, you want something a little bit more fantastic occurring in these kind of series. Also, they just changed placements of like how Grover was captured in Florida in the book. Instead, he was just captured exploring islands in the Sea of Monsters area, and that wasn't too clear exactly what happened, but that was different. The hippocampi were made to be more of a rare thing. It was supposed to be something that Percy's father, Poseidon, assisted them with and provided to him. Instead, it was just random connection that Tyson had made with one of the hippocampi out in sea. The whole idea with the bracelet as well, not really my cup of tea. I didn't understand it, didn't like it. It was pretty simplistic in terms of it's a bracelet, and then we just throw it in the water, boom, got a hippocampi. So not a huge fan there. However, those are just more small nitpicky things to me. The one big change they did make that I felt was actually a positive was Polyphemus. In the book, he's clearly written as someone that is not the brightest, very aggressive and territorial, but in the show, they made him a much smarter character. They made him a very clever and intense villain type character, and it was impressive because you come in thinking, oh, he's Polyphemus, you can try to trick him, all you gotta do is just make sure you don't have to do a one-off or face him straight up, because he will take you out quite easily with his strength, and you'll be good. But no, this guy laid the trap for them, managed to capture them, and then after that put them behind the 8 ball. And then the change they made with Tyson as well was decent. They made him less, again, simplistic like they had Polyphemus in the book. He was much more of just your regular kid with a little bit of naivety to him, but he was portrayed pretty decently in the series itself, so I appreciated that. Now, one of the biggest changes that happened in the show itself was the end of it. They made a major change in terms of how they handled the conflict with Polyphemus, as well as the conflict with Luke, and how they made it more of a war situation at the camp. In the book, to keep it simple, Polyphemus' fight with Percy and his friends and Tyson was more dragged out. It was more of a cross-island situation where they're running away from him, and he is using his strength and brute ability to just keep on them, even though they tricked them for the most part. Luke never captures Annabeth and takes her away. Luke's never even on the island at all. They managed to escape even after Polyphemus sinks the ship that they escaped on. Afterwards, they get onto Luke's ship and have to confront Luke and fight him. Percy has a good one-on-one against him, ends up losing, and Chiron and the party ponies, which were also omitted from the show, as for the most part, except for a quick flash in the background of Chiron's iris message, shows up and fights. They manage to escape and then send Clarice with the fleece as well. But that battle doesn't really happen on the boat. It does. It's just a lot different because Annabeth was taken. So a lot of other small changes that occurred there. But the last thing and the biggest thing that they changed was that war that they had at the end. That never happens. The conflict on the boat with Luke was pretty much the climax of the book itself. With Luke being able to round up everybody and get to the camp and have that war, it made it a much more dramatic ending to the book. So it did a good thing on that aspect. It is weird to see them having this war just because it never happened in the book, but it was exciting and added more to the book's climax that it could have used, from my opinion. Thalia's revival, that was a little weird to me. I don't understand getting rid of the surprise factor when it came to that, but they did, and made it more of a just, oh, there she is, she's there, as we expected, as we told you, based on Annabeth's little dream that she had on the boat. But it wasn't bad. It was pretty intense of a scene, so they managed to salvage it. Now, the biggest and probably the most intriguing thing that occurred to me in the series was how they shifted the look of Thalia being turned into the tree, managing to make it a situation that's way more believable that Thalia would hate the gods is a smart move to build tension for later seasons. Doing that also changes the thought process of what happened with Thalia becoming a tree. You think it's the mercy of Zeus to try to preserve her life by making her a tree, where instead it looks like Zeus trying to set up the situation to be more fortuitous for him because of the prophecy, by making sure his daughter is out of the play for that prophecy and turning her into a tree to protect the camp. So that itself adds another layer that makes it very intriguing to see how much the tension is going to build between Thalia and the gods in the next season. But that's to be seen. So I appreciate that change. That was cool. That adds much deeper wrinkle than I anticipated for the future season. But overall, I thought the series was very good. I thought they did a lot of changes, a lot of small changes that take away some of my more enjoyable parts of the book, but don't deviate from the main line of the book itself and like what it's trying to get to from point A to point B. Overall, the series itself was good. I expect a lot from the next few books if they manage to get to all the way to the final books. Those were the 3 more enjoyable books to me. And what they have to do to try to make a few things happen is going to be interesting as well, since they made some changes. But I'm excited to see it. How this season has gone, I'm positive. I'm optimistic about it. So hopefully season 3 comes around real quick. I know it's going to be slated real soon with the tease that they've shown, but the sooner the better, because I'm enjoying it so far. Let me know what you think about it down below. Hit me with a comment. I'm curious to see what everyone else is thinking. I know there's a bunch of changes I didn't touch on that I do have opinions on, but I might make a later video on those. However, let me know what you think. What was the biggest change to you? How you felt about this season, and how you feel about the next seasons coming up. Hit a like, subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Helps with the channel tremendously. Until the next video, be blessed. See you around.